Ah, there's a mic. Thanks for pointing that out. Little quirks I'm going to have to get used to when using this shitty machine. All the machines are shitty, it would seem. They all have their own unique limitations. None of them seem to have any unique advantages. So glad you can hear me now. Anyway, I was calling for general guidance for Mr. Subin. Random person, thank you for checking in and letting me know that that you can hear me. Yeah, it was only a few moments ago where there was no mic. It's all working and whatever, but the software wasn't picking it up. Had to delete the source and add it again. Okay, Subin, I've got the moon card for you the right way around in the position of your past. So that is, it's like you coming to the conclusion that you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for anyone to save you, for anyone to, help you out with anything, that you can take action to do it for yourself, to help yourself out, to save yourself, basically. I don't know what you need to be saved from, but basically what this card is saying is that you have been waiting for a while. You've been waiting for someone else to come and you're waiting for something to happen, for something to lift you out of your situation. And then with this card, it's like you realize, hey, I don't have to wait for anyone. I can help myself out of the situation. This card is about realization. So first of all, realizing that you have all the tools that you need at your disposal to get where you want to go. Secondly, realizing, actually making it happen, realizing as in manifesting. And third form of realizing is actually becoming aware that all of these thoughts that say it can't happen, or you need to wait for this or this, that X, Y, and Z, or you're not good enough, or you don't have what you need, that those are all lies and delusions, and you don't have to pay any attention to them. Random person, I got you. You're in the queue. Thank you. Present interval card for Mr. Subin, 7 of Wands. 7 of Wands. So what is this one saying to me? What is this one telling you? So the first thing it's saying to me is don't change your direction. If you've got desires that you have been working towards, and don't choose a new desire. Don't change what you're doing. Don't work towards something new. Commit and be consistent with whatever intentions you've already set in motion. You'll come up with plans and ideas in your head, and you'll set it in motion, and because it brings you to the things that you desire in life. And then you might feel like, oh, this is too difficult, or it's taking too long, and then scratch that idea and start a new idea. If you keep doing that, you're never going to get past halfway. You're never going to get past halfway to the end goal. So instead of choosing to start a new thing, rather just recommit yourself to things that you've already been doing. Future interval, Princess of Discs in reverse. So this is kind of saying that there's opportunity. Whatever it is you're working on, whatever illusions you're breaking free of here with the Moon card, whatever you're recommitting to in the present with the 7 of Wands, there's opportunity to expand on that, to evolve in that by communicating with others or co-creating with others. So there are other people who are going to come into your life, or who are in your life, who are also working towards their own desires, applying their tools and resources, and there'll be opportunity to work together, basically. And the card also wants to warn you that yes, there is opportunity to work together. You are strong when you work alone. They are strong when they work alone. When you guys work together, it's double strength, but there is still going to be an integration period. I'm used to doing things my way, So if I start collaborating with someone else, I'm going to have to compromise a lot on the things that I do, because some of the things that I do are not going to be compatible with the way they do things. So there's going to have to be a lot of compromise and adjustment, and that can be difficult, especially if someone doesn't want to acknowledge that they could be compromising more, or they don't feel like they should compromise. So yeah, it's saying that there is opportunity to improve what you have been doing, to really improve and evolve in it. It's going to take some integration. So random person, I hope you're still here, because I'm ready to read for you. Random person. Fantastic. You're welcome, Mr. Subin. So basically those cards were saying to you, well done, you have finally made the shift. Because I know in the last couple readings I did for you, the cards kept telling you the same thing, again and again and again. And these cards, they say to me that you've actually made a shift. You've made the shift that's necessary. So the cards first of all want to congratulate you on that and say well done. And then from there they give you a bit of advice saying don't start a new project, just go back to a project that you have been working on. And then it says be open to let other people partner with you in that project. And yeah, be ready to compromise. Starseed Travel, welcome back. Good to see you again. Yeah, you can just, if you want a reading, you can just let me know what your question is and I'll add you to the queue. So random person is getting a general reading. A random person, such a fantastic username. General guidance for random person. Connection established. Knight of Cups in reverse. So this Knight of Cups, it kind of talks about an emotional rebirth. Not something that you chose of your own accord, something that was like forced on you by circumstance and life. So what an emotional rebirth looks like is everything, the way you interact with your emotions. Say someone upsets you, then you get angry and you go and vent about it. Say someone is insulting towards you, and then you feel insulted, so you insult back, you react to the emotion, so on and so forth. That's how you're used to interacting with your emotional being. And then circumstance and life and environmental changes happen where that kind of reactive way of responding to emotions is no longer compatible. Like to continue on with that way of dealing with your emotions results in ruin. It results in backtracking. It results in oppression, suppression. It's no longer compatible or viable to, respond to your emotions in equal measure to what's given. That's what that's what an emotional rebirth will look like, where you have to completely change the way you interact with your emotions. Because the way you're used to is no longer compatible, no longer viable. So you have to think, okay, so that person says something spiteful, I can no longer respond to it like that. If I respond that way, it's going to impact my relationships negatively, it's going to impact my work environment negatively. I can't respond the way that they are. I can't give them equal measure what they're giving to me when it comes to emotions. I'm going to have to. They're being spiteful, yes, I feel this frustration in me, so I'm going to take that frustration and I'm going to go and express it in writing, or I'm going to go and express it in a drawing. And I'm going to think about them, and I'm going to imagine what it must be like to be in their shoes and why they would say that. Completely changing the way you interact with your emotions, and not something that you chose. You know, you didn't choose to go through this rebirth. It's something that the universe chose for you. Present interval, Knight of Discs in reverse. So it's a lot of rebirth cards. Knight of Discs, this one is talking to me about, it's like the loss of a job, or not necessarily losing your job, but certain forms of income having falling away. Like there are ways that you keep your home secure, there are ways that you keep your life secure, and that getting interfered with. It might also be talking about not necessarily losing a job, but moving. Although moving often comes with switching jobs or whatever. It's just talking about the old way that you secure your life and your home, and you're like making sure you have enough to eat, making sure you got clothes to wear, making sure you got a roof over your head. All of that, the means that you use to secure those things is no longer. What you're used to using is not there anymore. It's died. It's gone. There's new things that you have to set in motion. Applying for a new job, or getting used to working at a new job, or getting used to a new neighborhood because you just moved to a new city. Again, it's not something that you chose, so it wasn't like you said, oh, I quit, I don't like this job, I'm quitting. It was more like your boss saying, hey, you're fired. It's reverse card is usually saying that it isn't something you choose, it's something that's brought onto you. And that card just wants to encourage you and say that whatever is being culled away, whatever death is taking away, because it's a death and then a rebirth, so whatever death is culling out of your life is things that were not authentic, and whatever is coming in its place is things that are going to be more authentic. It's giving room, opening doorways for a more authentic way of being. Welcome, Suhana. By the way, guys, if I don't respond to you while I'm in the middle of a reading, I'm not ignoring you on purpose. I can see your messages. I'm just trying to give focus to the reading at hand. Future interval card for random person is number 20, Judgment. The Aeon, also in reverse. Okay, so when your cards are reversed like this, the next card is also reversed. So let's say we start with the Magus. The Magus is about communication. If that's in reverse, then you're miscommunicating. You're lying about the true state of things. And because of the communication, so if it was the right way around and I communicate and I talk about what I'm setting in motion, what job I want to start, or what value I have to offer the world, what business I'm starting, then I open opportunities for that business to manifest. But if I've been lying, then those opportunities that manifest, I won't be able to reach for them. I won't be able to seize them, because they will require things of me that I don't actually have, that I've been lying about having. So if your cards are in reverse, the next card is also in reverse, and so on and so forth. So a Magus in reverse would lead to a Priestess in reverse, which would lead to an Empress in reverse. And each time you're missing out on the maximum potential that you could be getting from that archetype. It's important that at some point you turn a card around so that the next card can be the right way around, and so on and so forth. So your cards are all in reverse, and you're going to need to turn them around. So what you can do in the present to turn your Knight of Discs in the right way around is to embrace the change, to embrace the rebirth, instead of like clinging to the old and saying, oh, if only I still had that job, or if only I was still earning from that source, or oh, if only I was still in my old neighborhood. Instead of worrying about the past and wishing for the past, embracing the present and seeing what you can do in the present to improve your circumstances. And then future interval with this card, this is kind of just a warning. It's saying to you that there's going to be a lot of judgment because of these knights, this Knight of Cups, changing the way that you interact with your emotions, having your moving or losing your job, whatever. There's judgment, like people judging you family, friends, people you used to know, people you thought were legit friends, you're going to walk into a lot of judgment from them, and from people you thought were actually good people you could rely on. You're going to find that there's actually a lot of judgment there and distance. They were fair weather friends in essence, and this card just wants to say to you, don't let that turn you into a judging. Don't let that make you judgmental. Don't then, because they're judging you, turn and judge them as well. No. The only person you should be judging is yourself, and you should be judging your behavior, like looking back and saying, okay, when I did the X, Y, and Z, that resulted in positive change in my life. That's healthy judgment. Oh, when I did X, Y, and Z, that resulted in ruin in my life. I lost out on some good opportunities because of procrastination or because of whatever. That's healthy judgment. And you're doing that so that you can avoid, so that you can have, you in your new cycles and your new efforts, you can do better and you can avoid mistakes. And that's your reading, random person. I hope it gives you, I hope it opens your eyes to some things. Starseed wants a reading on her spiritual journey, and Jane O wants to know, is my life's path to be a spiritual empath and healer? I'm discovering how strong my intuition is more and more, and want to help others. Random person says, thank you so much, it resonates. You're most welcome. I'm glad to hear that it, hits home and there's some applicable advice there. Starseed Travel says, I love that. I feel like you were talking about something that came up in the cards, particularly the Knight of Cups reversed, and the way I described it. You were saying you like to hear that interpretation. Thank you. And yeah, welcome Suhana. Welcome back. It's been a while since I saw you in chat. What were you saying there? Will Arjun contact me? Bleh, what a boring question. But okay, you're in the queue. We'll see what I read for you when we get there. If I read anything for that question at all, we'll see. I might change that question completely according to what my spirit directs me to do. Okay, will I be able to get a reading for my spiritual journey? Nay. Kidding, of course you can have a reading for your spiritual journey. I guess like general, you want to hear what you need to hear. You want the cards, and oh, look at that, cards are already answering you. Queen of Swords. So this Queen of Swords is basically saying to you, your like expectations are leading you to disappointment. You are expecting your spiritual journey to look a certain way, or you're expecting certain amounts of breakthrough or certain levels of development, and those expectations are, when you are actually making progress, or when there is breakthrough, or the value you are receiving as a result, what the process actually looks like, you're missing out on it because you're having expectations on how it should look. That's what that Queen of Swords has to say. So basically the Queen of Swords is saying, look around you, like look at your present and see how much your spiritual journey has actually grown over the last couple of years. See how you've grown and matured in your spirituality over the last couple of years. Instead of looking at what you still need to do and what's still ahead on the journey, take a moment to look at the present and see what's actually already here. What else does Starseed Travel need to know? Or what else would you meaning the spirit of wisdom particularly, what would you like to say to Starseed Travel regarding her spiritual journey? More than just don't have expectations. First thing wisdom says is let go of expectations on how it's supposed to look. Everyone's spiritual journey is going to look different. Not everyone has to have all the crystals in the collection before they can be spiritual. Not everyone has to have all the different herbs to be spiritual. And that's not even spiritual stuff. Crystals are very physical, actually. Herbs are very physical. Yes, they have spiritual aspects. But similarly, you are a physical being and you have spiritual aspects as well. It's the same with plants. It's the same with crystals. They got a physical and a spiritual. And there are some things that have no physical and that's perfectly okay. I'm sorry if I offended some people with that. Some of the folks who were watching the stream were not so happy to hear that that you don't have to have a plethora of crystals to be spiritual, or a plethora of herbs. Viewer counter did like a but we're up again. Okay, so the Devil card. This is in the position of the past. It's your first card, number 15. Don't let this card scare you too much. It's the right way around, which is very encouraging. Oh, and that card's the wrong way around, that's when I get a little iffy. But anyway, this card just talks about like disagreements. It's just talking about having come through disagreements. Just like I was talking about, like some people will say, oh, you need to have X, Y, Z before you can be a spiritual person, or you need to have so many crystals or understand their usage, or this, that, or the other. So that's what the Devil card is implying. It's saying that there are a lot of different perspectives and different opinions, conflicting opinions and disagreements, and that's okay. You know, everyone's allowed to have their paradigm or their worldview on how things are supposed to be or supposed to look, and that applies to them, and only applies to them. So don't let what someone else is doing, what someone else says, this is the way, be your way. Your way will look unique to you. Yeah, in this card we've got two spheres. We've got like, yeah, they're balls. In the one ball, in the one sphere, there are like a bunch of people, and they're all like wrestling. They're all trying to subdue the other one. So that's what the Devil card in reverse looks like. It's where everyone is trying to force the other one to see from their perspective. You have to see it my way. It has to look the way that I know it should look. And then they belittle, or they invalidate, or they tease because you don't want to see things their way. That's the Devil in reverse. It's not a lack of place to be. It's very oppressive. The Devil the right way around is just general disagreements. In the other sphere, I see everyone is just, there's like huge amounts of space between all the different people. And they're all just traveling in their own direction. They're not even looking at each other. So that's how the Devil should be. That's how disagreement should be. You know, I'm allowed to have a different perspective to you. That doesn't mean that you have to change. Doesn't mean that I have to change. We will just continue on in our own directions. We'll just acknowledge, yes, thank you for your perspective. It gives me something to think about, and continue on in my direction. Well, present interval card is the Prince of Wands in reverse. So this is very like strong motivation energies here. The Prince of Wands, it tells me that you go through like these periods of really investing your time into something. Like you'll say, okay, I'm going to incorporate yoga into my practice. I'm going to incorporate meditation into my practice. And for the first week you're really motivated and you keep up with those things that you're committed to. And then the motivation dies out and dies down. And then you forget about that yoga. You forget about excuse my voice. I seem to have a frog in my throat. You forget about the meditation, and then you start something else. You're like, oh, I'm going to learn about herbs now. I'm going to start reading tarot. I'm just giving examples, basically. And then for another week or two, you're motivated and you're dedicated to it, and you're like manic about it. And then, oh, motivation energy dies out, and you want to move on to something else once again. So the card in reverse is saying that that isn't really, I mean, it's not something you should beat yourself up about, but it's something to be aware of, because working with it like that is that you're never going to make progress with any of these things that you pick up. So you're never going to see the benefits of meditation if you're only doing it for 5 days at a time and then you forget about it. You're never going to see the physical or spiritual evolution that you would get from yoga if you're only doing it once every 4 months. I think you understand what I'm saying. So what this card wants to say to you is, instead of trying to cram it in, like saying, okay, I'm going to take up yoga now, that's a good example, and then cram it in every day. Every morning I'm going to wake up at this time and I'm going to do yoga. you've seen that that doesn't really work for you. You can only commit to that for so long. So maybe say, okay, I want to do yoga, so for the first month, as long as I do yoga once a week, I'm making progress. And then when you've done that, when you've been able to do it for a whole month, every week, at least once a week, do it. Then you can add another one. You say, okay, so for the first month, I was only able to do it twice in the month. Next month, oh, I managed to do it once each week this month. Next month, I'm going to push myself a little further. I'm going to try and do it twice a week. And, you know, so on and so forth, building it up slowly. Instead of trying to throw a big routine onto yourself and then keep up with it from scratch, you know, take it slow, build it up slowly. Future interval is 9 of discs in reverse. So this card, it's what's opening up for you. And it's like, so any investments of your time and energy that you've made into like a diet, into exercise, like fitness, into finances, that stuff is coming full circle. Those investments are coming back to you. Now there are also going to be some losses. You're going to find that maybe you didn't meet the goals you were hoping to meet, like you didn't lose as many kgs or as many pounds as you were hoping to, but you did make some kind of progress with your fitness, or you didn't make such an improvement in your earnings, like your income didn't improve as much as you were hoping, it just balanced. And this card, it just wants to say to you that when you're looking back and you're asking yourself what went wrong or what could I have done differently, don't downplay your successes. Make sure that you can see your successes clearly, like where you did well and the breakthroughs that you made. Look at those and acknowledge them so that you can reapply those methods and see the same breakthroughs again next time. And also don't like put the blame, like in the places that you messed up, in the places that you fucked up, don't put that blame anywhere else. Don't put that blame on the environment. Don't put that blame on anyone or anything. You know, look for your own part to play in it. Yes, there are unforeseen events that come up and make it difficult for us to progress. Yes, there are people who try and slow us down or vampirize our energy or our time. But we always have a part to play. Like, I could have been more flexible. I could have taken the cues. Okay, the electricity service provider said they were going to shut the power off at this time, X, Y, and Z. I could have worked around it. I could have been more flexible with it. What is another example? I guess I don't need to give any more examples. I think you understand. You know, taking responsibility for both your mistakes and your successes. Okay, so Jano, if you're still here, I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you, baby. You want that reading? I'm gonna be a spiritual empath. Hey, hey, Queen of Discs. Welcome back. Fantastic. You can join the queue. Jano is up next, and Jasmine Dorga just joined us. Welcome back, Jasmine. It's nice to see you again. Yeah, so guys, go ahead and join the queue, and I'll be ready for you guys soon enough. You know, I just need to wipe the excrement from my last customer off of my cheek and off my lips, and then I'll be ready for you. Suhana? Is it your turn? Is it your turn? I'm checking. So we had random person, and random person's reading got done, and then we had Starseed Travel, and after that we have Jano, and then Suhana. So you're after Jano. It's Jano next, and then Suhana. I'm glad you like that joke, Queen of Discs. How did the art go? The art was fantastic. Art is so much fun. Yesterday I only got in like an hour though. It was really disappointing, and then the internet service provider started to mess around and kick me off. You know, if it isn't the electricity service provider being a duus, then it's the electricity service provider being a duus. Duus means idiot, by the way. Okay, so Jano wants to know about being a spiritual empath and healer. Is it your life path to be a spiritual empath and healer? You know, I think that wielding those abilities, wielding the ability to provide healing, or wielding the ability to like experience someone else's emotions or even their thoughts, that's something that's inherent within every human being. It's something that, you know, should develop naturally, but for some reason we have filled its place in. We've filled the place in with mundane shit, like, I don't even know what is a good example. Television is a fantastic example. Television and video games have filled in, you know, have replaced the healing abilities and psychic abilities. So, is it your life path? It's normal, it's natural for any human to step into that path. It's like something you should definitely pursue. Whether you should dedicate your entire life to healing and empathy, I don't know. You should dedicate your entire life to the things that you desire most in your heart. You know, what do you want? What makes life worth living for you? That's where you should dedicate your life and your efforts. Look at that. The Lover's card shows up. So the Lover's card, the first thing that comes to mind with this card is saying to me that the life's purpose of humanity is to love and to be loved. You know, that's to demonstrate love and receive love. That's like the primary purpose of humanity. So even if there were no other humans, you know, humans, the one human who was here on the planet would be here to love the plant life and the animal life and be loved and appreciated in return. Because, you know, love doesn't have to involve sex. I guess that's why I used that example. Queen of Discs says, did I end up making my own electricity with my solar panels? So I haven't got everything I need yet. There's like, most of the setup is here. It's just about done. There's still a battery that I'm missing, basically. That's what I'm missing. Alright, drawing a spread for Jano. What more advice do you have for Jano addressing the spirit of wisdom? Because, you know, when I say you, I'm talking about the spirit of wisdom. What does Sophia, what does wisdom, what does thought have to say to Jano regarding, you know, the purpose of healing and empathy? I'm looking to get deep cycle lithium batteries. I only need one for now. They're like, what does 1,200 rand translate to in dollars? It's like approximately 70 US dollars, maybe a bit more. Seven of Cups is your first card, Jano. Seven of Cups reversed. So that is saying, this is like where you've come from. A lot of emotional influxes, a lot of like triggers, a lot of stresses on the emotional being and not really being prepared to face it. So earlier I was talking about how television and substances and video gaming and entertainment have filled in for things like psychic abilities and healing. So that card is basically confirming that. Well, that card is basically pointing it out for you, saying you've always had the potential to be a healer. You've always had the ability, psychic abilities, empathetic abilities, and intuitive abilities. You've always had those things. There was a lot of emotional garbage. There was a lot of emotional baggage and stuff that was like clogging up the pathways. Things like fear and shame and self-doubt and pride and frustration and all kinds of things that were blocking up the flow of that intuitive ability. But instead of facing those emotions, instead of facing those difficult things and making a breakthrough, you were distracting yourself from those emotions with entertainment and with nice foods and luxuries and binge watching series on TV, that kind of thing. But that is closing for you. You are starting to that constantly filling your cups up with entertainment. At some point the entertainment starts to feel like work. The entertainment starts to taste sour and bitter. Like it's not as satisfying, it's not as pleasurable as before. So you're trying to find some other way to cope now. It's the distracting yourself from the emotion is not working anymore. So the emotions are still coming up. This is past tense. This is something you've already been through. And then as you're facing the emotional baggage, as you're facing the blockages, and you're dealing with them, then suddenly intuition is flowing. It also makes you aware. This Three of Cups says that as the emotional baggage gets cleared and the intuitive ability starts to flow, it makes you aware of how much needs to be dealt with, how much needs to be sorted through, how much nonsense in the self has to be separated from authentic self. How much of projections and infectious things like fear and shame and those things I already mentioned, how much of that needs to be sorted through before you can get to the pure emotional energy. So this Three of Cups it just talks about becoming aware of just how much needs to happen, how much of the process still needs to be undertaken. You've taken the first few steps on the path, and now you see, now that you're actually walking on the path, you can see just how far the destination is. But it makes you feel a little bit hopeless, like it's out of reach. Like being an empath or a healer is such a magnificent undertaking, an undertaking of so much magnitude. Is it worth it? Are you actually worthy? It makes you feel hopeless, like it's too big. And this card is showing up to dispel that, say to you, no, don't listen to those thoughts that tell you it's hopeless or it's too big. As long as you're putting one foot in front of the other, you're going to reach the destination eventually, and you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be an all-powerful healer tomorrow. The little bits of things that you do, the little bits of empathy that you do channel, the little bits of intuition that you do channel, bless the people who receive it. So just continue the way you are, and you will develop, and you will each time you do it, you're taking another step, and you're getting closer to the destination. Future interval is the Prince of Discs. Prince of Discs is very much enduring. He's like I was saying, as long as you're putting one foot in front of the other, you're getting there. So the Prince of Discs is he's carrying a lot of weight, but he just keeps on lugging forward, and nothing's going to stop him. And you can keep throwing more weights on him. It's like the coach is watching him move, and you're like, oh my god, you're so strong, it shouldn't be so easy for you to cross this field. Here's some weights to slow you down. And he just keeps on going. The coach is like, wow, you're a beast, more weights for you. So yeah, it's encouraging that kind of knuckle down and just keep pushing forward little by little, that enduring energy, that enduring what is the word that I'm looking for? Frequency? No. Attitude. There we go. That enduring attitude of I can and I am strong enough. So if this card is in reverse, I would usually say that is not enough. You know, just knuckling down and enduring isn't quite enough. You're gonna have to meet your endurance with some kind of creative solution. But this card is the right way around, which is saying to you that you have most of the other puzzle pieces in place, and it's really just the endurance that needs to be focused on. And you know, just keep on pushing forward. Yeah, don't let those feelings of doubt and hopelessness discourage you or turn you away. Kelly C. Webb, it's been a while since I've seen you in the chat. Hi there. When's Kevin gonna travel here to meet me, and how's it gonna be? Okay, you're in the queue. Next up is Suhana. Following Suhana is Queen of Discs. So I'm not gonna ask that question, Suhana. Will Arjun contact me? I'm not gonna answer that question. Instead, I'm gonna say something like, how can Suhana attract and experience, you know, like a healthy two-way relationship? You ideally want a relationship where the value you give is received and it's like recognized, and when your partner gives value, you're able to see it and recognize it and appreciate it. So I would just call that a mutually respectful, mutually, what's the right word here? What's the right words to use? It doesn't really matter, I guess. Words are so irrelevant. Words are so meh. Like, I know exactly what I'm trying to say, and then English just doesn't have the words to help me communicate it. 3 of discs in reverse. So what is that? What is that saying? What is that saying? It's kind of saying that you are pursuing this relationship with Arjun out of like a fear. It's like you have this fear of not being able to provide for yourself, or not being able to maintain the lifestyle you're used to or that you're comfortable having. So like most of the time, you looking for a partner is not really about love or romance or about it's mostly just about being safe. It's about having someone to help you secure your life, making sure that there's someone who has an income or has education. You know, you want to be taken care of, and that is detrimental to all of your relationships. And as long as that is your attitude going into a relationship, it's going to perpetuate. You're going to keep on having boys who don't want to, you know, who hide from you, and you're waiting for them to contact you. Okay, so with that in mind, what does Suhana need to shift in herself in order to attract what is the word? Why can't I find words? It's like there's no vocabulary for me today. In order to attract her ideal match. That's so cliche, but I guess it works. What does Suhana need to shift to attract her ideal match? Shift within herself, mind you. Shift within yourself, Suhana. You know, you can't spend your life waiting for others to change. You're going to take initiative and make the change happen inside. Jolie boy, welcome. Yes, of course, Kelly C. Webb. You can send a $9 tip to get priority and 6 cards. 7 of Wands in reverse. What does this have to say? 7 of Wands for Suhana. Okay, so 7 of Wands is saying that you have all these desires that you want to accomplish in your life, and you start moving towards them. You set intentions in motion. You're like, okay, I desire this out of life, so I'm going to work towards it. One step at a time, I'm going to move towards it, and then, oh, I'm bored of that. It's not working for me. I don't feel led to do that anymore. So scratch that idea, starting a new project. This will work better. I desire this more. So that's kind of saying that that's how your life has been. And so you never really get anywhere. You never reach your desire. You never reach your outcome. The manifestation never arrives in its completion, because you swim halfway across the lake and then you decide, oh, it's too far, I'm going back. But you're already halfway. So it just wants to show that to you so that you can turn that around. It wants to say to you, when you pick up a project, when you choose a destination, commit to it. Don't change direction. Commit to your outcome. It just wants to stress that, committing. 7 of Cups in the present. So this is cool. This card is saying to you that you have stopped. You've stopped distracting yourself from your emotions. Like you get frantic energies, you get what's the other word I'm looking for? You get depressive energies, like when Arjun won't contact you, or when it feels like he's ghosting you, or you feel like these hopeless energies. There's all kinds of nonsense that goes on in the emotional being. And you know, you have options in front of you. You can either distract yourself from it by smoking a cigarette, or by drinking alcohol, or by, you know, masturbating, touching yourself generously. But you don't do any of those things. Instead, you express yourself creatively. You do something creative. You write a letter, or you draw, or you sing, and that is fantastic. So that card is encouraging. It says, well done. Yeah, distracting yourself from the emotions is never a good idea. Facing them, much better idea. You know, that's the way that you move through it. You face it, you experience it, you express it, and it's integrated. It doesn't keep bothering you. If you ignore or distract yourself from difficult emotions, they start to have like negative side effects on your life. They start to have side effects on your day-to-day life. Future interval. Prince of Discs in reverse. Okay, so this one here is to say to you that, you know, knuckling down and enduring and hoping that if you wait long enough, Arjun will eventually contact you. It's saying that's no good. It's not going to get you anywhere. You're going to need to apply some kind of solution. You're going to need to, like, contact him, maybe, and maybe put down your boundaries. Like, say to him, hey, listen, if we're going to have a relationship, there needs to be so much communication. You know, you can't just disappear for months at a time. I can't sit around waiting for you forever. It's just saying that waiting around, just sitting down and waiting and hoping that he's going to come and contact you, or he's going to express his love for you, that's not going to get you anywhere in your life or in your relationships. And that some other kind of solution is going to have to be put into practice. So I don't know if you heard me, Kelly, when I answered you, but it's like not your turn. There are quite a few ahead, and you are most welcome to send a donation, and it needs to be $9 or more in order to get priority. So, yeah, I feel like Suhana did not stick around to hear her reading, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. You're welcome, so much welcomeness to you, Jano. Bippity boppity boop, who's next in the hoop? Oh, look at that, my bitrate is like crashing into the dirt. Death by bitrate. Bippity boppity boop, who's next in the loop? I think it's Queen of Discs. Queen of Pentacles. So the fact that you have double S on the end of your name, Queen of Discs, kind of implies to me that there are other Queens of Pentacles on Twitch. Yes, it is in fact. It is in fact your turn, Queen of Discs. Yes, death by bitrate. And thank you so much for complimenting my singing. I see Mr. Subin was asking if the cards were giving him any warnings. Well, if you're still here, Mr. Subin, you can go back to the beginning of the video, because your reading was the very first one that I gave away today. So if you want to recap on what the cards said to you, you can just go and rewatch your reading. It's quite simple. My question is about my relationship. I recently told this person that I need them to try harder, and then they stop talking to them. And now I want this person to contact me. I'm wondering if they will, or if I'm going to have to. But the relationship has been unbalanced, and I don't know what to do about it. So, well done for setting the boundary. If someone can't respect your boundary, then you can't really have a relationship with them. It sucks. Setting boundaries sucks so bad. But do we really want people in our lives who are not going to respect our boundaries? Do we really want people in our lives who leech up our energy and our time? I don't. I don't like people like that in my life. I have had people in my life. Oh, look at that Queen of Swords jumping out of the deck again. So this is talking about things staying up here. You get ideas, or you get a clear picture of what your boundary is, or you get you keep it up here. It doesn't come out of the mouth. The communication, it's like that stage before communication. It's still in your mind. So whatever you are thinking, whatever ideas are coming up to you, whatever solutions you're having, or whatever intuitive nudges you're getting, you're not putting it into words. It's staying up here in the mind. And so that card wants to say you can't expect any kind of change to take place unless you're going to communicate it. Now I know you have communicated some things, but there's also some things you haven't. So you've got to find a balance point there. And I see you said you don't feel like he so your emotions are conflicting with your intuition. Very interesting. That's usually the case, logic and reasoning will contradict emotions, and usually intuition contradicts both of them, and intuition is the way to go. Doesn't matter if the emotions agree with the intuition, doesn't matter if logic agrees with intuition. If intuition is this inner knowing that you should do this or that you shouldn't do that, you follow it. Never mind the emotions, never mind the logic. And naturally, the narcissist or the leech doesn't feel like he is narcissistic or he's a vampire. That's how it works. If they're able to see themselves, they wouldn't be what they are. But I don't need someone to understand why I have a boundary in place. I need them to respect the boundary. That's what's important. They don't need to understand why. If I appreciate them and I have respect for them, I will try and help them understand why I have a certain boundary, but it's not a requirement. You do not need to understand why my boundary is in place before you can respect it. Also, I'm not going to allow someone to cross my boundaries. Just like you spoke your boundary and then you stopped interacting with him. You're like, listen, if you're not going to put at least equal value into this relationship, then there's going to be no relationship. And that is admirable, and You're saying your intuition tells you to communicate with him. My intuition says to me, stick to your boundary. You know? But what do you have to say, Sophia? What do you have to say, Thought? What do the thoughts have to say? Let's consult with the thoughts and the thought tarot. Oh, I just love that play on words. Be thoughty. Two of discs. Okay. Queen of discs. This two of discs. In reverse. This two of discs is saying that this is something that happens regularly, as you take up some kind of project, or you set yourself an exercise routine, or you start a new diet, or you start a new financial endeavor, and then you get into like a half-assed relationship where you're giving all of your energy and not receiving enough energy in return, and it kind of absorbs all of your time, and you know, you can't even commit to your exercise routine anymore because all of that time and energy is going into this relationship. You can't commit to that diet anymore because you have to compromise and change for this person, or you can't focus on your project anymore because you're constantly thinking about this relationship. So that card is kind of saying that you should, I don't know what, it's not really saying that you should or shouldn't do anything, it just wants to point that out to you. And that these things always seem to happen in the same order. Like you start a rebirth, you start a new cycle, you say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. And it's all about changing for the better. And then at the same time you get this like, it's like a false advertisement of a relationship. It looks like a relationship, but it's not really. And it ends up absorbing all of your energy and time and taking it away from all of the new things that you're putting in motion. Just wants to point that out. Queen of Swords in the present, and we just talked about the Queen of Swords, wasn't it? About the things that are in your mind, like ideas, solutions, all of these things come in your mind, the things you would like to communicate, things you would like to be honest about, but that never ends up coming out of the mouth. It always stays up here. And and that is applying not only to your relationship but also to your own project. So these things that you're putting in motion. So if I take a diet for example, if I decide, okay, I'm going to be vegan, and then I don't communicate that with anybody, and I get invited out to eat, I'm going to go there and they're going to feed me the same way they usually do. And I'm not prepared to communicate. I don't feel like it's my place to impose my dietary habits on them. So I don't say anything, I just eat the food. My commitment to myself to be vegan is now out the window. And yeah, it's just an example of how important the communication is. You know, when you have a thought, when you set something in motion, communication is the first step in making it a reality. Future interval, Ace of Cups in reverse. Ace of Cups in reverse. What is this card saying? It just talks about expressing your emotions. Particularly talking about your difficult feelings. Whether they're justified or not, you want to just express them and talk about them and be honest about them. So it's kind of saying, if you're going to go and talk to him, if you're going to communicate with him again and contact him, you need to like put all of these feelings on the table, all of these concerns on the table.
My love, they're delivering a pig and they want to know where they should put it.
Okay, so Jan should have been Jan should have been working to fix up this. Do you remember where the piglets all used to live before they were
By
moved
the
to the back?
garden?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
there. So
That's where they should go.
go. So
Okay.
you can arrange with Jan that he helps them get in there. You don't have to be involved. You can just say to Jan, they're here to put the pig in there. Please help them get the pig in and make sure that the hook is secure for the pig.
Okay, is he here?
He's walking around here somewhere. I saw him.
Okay, cool. I'll find him.
Thanks. So where was I with that? If you're going to communicate with him, you need to put all of the stuff on the table. You can't keep any more of it up here. It's got to come out. It's got to be put on the tongue and communicated. Whether it's rational or not, he needs to be able to acknowledge and validate your experience. That's actually a very important part of any relationship. And the same applies to you. You know, he's probably going to have some things he wants to communicate. If not, then, you know, then he's keeping stuff up here. Queen of Swords reversed. But yeah. I hope that gives you some understanding or some clarity. Yeah. So it doesn't look like Priestess Azura is having much luck finding our farmhand. So I'm gonna like go AFK for a few seconds. Godslick, Angelo, welcome. How's your new profile picture? It's looking dapper, my friend. Looking real dapper. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I'm gonna go AFK. I'm gonna run away from the keyboard. I'll be right back. And you're welcome, Queen of Discs. So here's Kerr going away from keyboard. I'll be right back. How much time do I still have? So I've still got like 20 minutes. That's enough for a few more readings. Going AFK so I can yell very loudly from the top of my lungs. Jan! Jan! I'm gonna go and yell it very loudly. So, be right. Okay. I think I'm back. It was so weird. Like, it's a pig, right? But it's not my pig. I've never seen this pig before. Yeah, I've never seen this pig before. It's so weird. It's like they brought the pig here and they assume it's my pig. And I was like, you know, I'll accept the pig. And also the farmhand is gone. Nowhere to be seen. He can't help me out. I must handle the pig. So much fun. But I got a few minutes to give away one more reading, or two more, or...
Yeah, but you can keep going until I give you the signal, because I need to get ready, I'll leave now.
Okay. Lots of sighs. But at least, I don't even know, I was gonna say like, at least tomorrow I have some stable internet, but that's not even the truth. Lodalmar, welcome back. Hello, hello. Hello, hello to you too. How am I doing? I'm doing fantastically fabulous, thank you. How about yourself? So, I spent the whole morning, I built a fire and I was boiling water on the fire, boiling water to bath, boiling water to wash dishes, and it was a lot of fun, splitting wood and burning it to boil water. It's loads of fun. And it was a fantastic bath, by the way. I had such a marvelous time keeping my lads pristine. Yes, it is very cool, so cool. How about you? Are you all cool and fresh? I hope so. Or well, you know, you can be hot. You can be hot as fuck, or you can be cool, ice cool. Just don't you dare be lukewarm. Don't you be somewhere in between. Medieval times, yes, definitely, very medieval times. You know, burning candles for light and you know, heating water with fire. So much fun. Doing washing by hand, yeah, that kind of vibe. The only thing that electricity is really useful for is like laptops and internet. That's like basically it. Oh, and microphones. Although the microphone only it gets its power from the laptop. So, did I have a storm? No, there's no storm. What do you mean? Maybe there has been a storm. Yes, there has been a storm, but not a physical storm. Like, you're asking me, has there been a storm? You mean like a flood or a hailstorm or whatever? Nah, nothing like that. Like a spiritual storm, like a spiritual, emotional storm. Yes. You know, one of those things that just comes in and tears down your whole way of living and your whole lifestyle, and just like wrecks it to shreds, just like a storm. But there's no, it looks very peaceful and very passive from the outside. It's all happening inside, unseen. Unseen storm. Yes, there you go. Unseen storm that only like targets certain people who resonate on certain frequencies. Usually mystics. When these storms hit, it's usually like people who are dedicating their life to mysticism that get hit by those storms. Tough since the lack of electricity. What lack of electricity? What lack of electricity? You know, I wouldn't be able to stream. I wouldn't be able to sit here with lights and a laptop and a camera if I didn't have electricity. And you have great company, so yeah, fantastic. So the lack of electricity it's more like a lack of electrical appliances, a lack of a kettle, lack of a, you know, an electric kettle, lack of that, lack of an electric geyser, lack of, yeah, there are lights, there is electricity for now, and there is a solar panel. We've got like solar coming together, so the stream will continue even when there's no state provided electricity. There will still be electricity enough to run this setup here. We have a gas stove to cook on and shit, but you know, it's not always sustainable to boil your water on the gas stove, because you know gas is expensive. So we want to save on gas, make a fire and boil the water on the fire. Why not? You totally understood. You yourself would like a homestead. Sorry, that word doesn't really make much. It doesn't make much sense to me. Homestead. So you being independent sounds awesome. Something like that. Something like establishing independence, not relying on anyone or anything. Well, that's quite difficult, you know, because the internet is not an independent thing. The internet can't happen alone. The internet is literally communication between huge ass servers and computers across the globe. You couldn't have the internet with just one of those computers or one of those servers. It's about the network. It's about the community, interaction, collaboration. So can get to a certain point of independence, but if I want to like continue with online work, then you know I can't be completely off grid. Yeah, so the point is to get off grid as much as possible, having a garden to plant and fruit trees. Yeah, exactly. Fruit trees do take a long time to grow though, so you know you can plant fruit trees today and you'll only harvest from them in the next like 12 years, which is okay. It's an investment for the future. There are 2 pear trees that were here, two guava trees that were here. There's a 3rd guava tree that's now like just now ready for its first harvest. Until now I've never produced anything, which is like fantastic. And what other fruit trees have we planted so far? There's a lemon tree, and there are avocado trees, but these have all only been planted in the last couple of years, so they're far from ready to be harvested from. RB, I am not a vegan, no. I'm not a vegan. Like, I got nothing against vegans. Vegans can be who they want to be and eat what they want to eat. I'm not a vegan, and I don't plan to be a vegan. You know, I will eat whatever is available to me to sustain me. If that means a vegetarian meal, if that means a vegan meal, I will eat it because it's nourishment, you know, and the body needs that shit. And if there's no vegetables to eat and there's only meat to eat, I will eat that meat too. I'm busy explaining it to you, Arby. I'm busy explaining why I eat meat. It's because the body needs nourishment, and you can't always have everything that you want to have, so you make do. You make do with what's available. If as long as you're grateful, that's all I can say. It's like, if I have no money but I've got chickens and they lay eggs, but they're not laying enough eggs for me to live on egg and only egg, then, you know, I'm gonna eat one of those chickens too, because that's nourishment, it's food. And let's say that I had a good friend who was also poor and didn't have money, but this friend was vegan, and this friend asked if they could come and live with me. And then I was like, hey, if you come and live with me, you're only gonna have egg and chicken to eat, because that's all I got, and I don't got money to spend on nuts and fruits and shit. So you don't have money either. So you can't be you gotta be, if you're a beggar, you can't be a chooser, is what I'm trying to say, RB. I don't think there's any connection between eating meat and bad karma. I think, you know, if I'm going to, so if my brother has a really hot, sexy girlfriend and I'm casting spells to make her infatuated with me and make her leave him and come and be my wife, then the karma is that he's gonna come and beat me up. That's the karma. So, yeah. Yes, Lord Lamar, it's definitely possible to buy big trees, but why the fuck would you buy big trees? It doesn't make any sense. It's very silly, RB. I mean, it's valid. Your emotional experience is valid. I can, like, I'm not gonna say you're not allowed to feel guilty for eating meat, but it is kind of irrational. You just got to be grateful. If you're grateful for the food you're eating, then, you know, that's what matters. Can I explain to you why you shouldn't feel guilty for eating meat? I think I just did, you know? I think I just did. You know, if you can't afford to have the diet you prefer, then you make do with what you have and you be grateful for what you have, and that's the bottom line. I don't know what more I can explain. Oh, Lord Lamar, I see. It's because you're impatient and you can't wait to have fruits. I see. Well, it's very expensive. That's the issue, is that it's very expensive to buy fully grown trees. It costs very little to plant a seed and to nourish it, and one day it will be a fruit tree and it will provide you with great amounts of harvest. But if you're not planning to, your plan isn't to like turn over a huge profit selling fruit in huge quantities to like supermarket chains, then it's not really financially viable. Like Lord Omar just said, being mindful when you eat and what you're eating is what is important. And Lord Omar says not everyone can be totally out of meat and not everybody is ready. And to expand on that, you know, the amount of protein that you're getting out of meat, the amount of access to protein you have when you are a meat eater is a lot. And like meat is a very abundant source of protein, so much so that our bodies get lazy in producing in like harvesting the protein from the meat, and then switching your diet to a meat-free diet or a vegan diet. That it is a huge adjustment. Yes, I think you're on point now. I think you're starting to make some sense, Arby. I think we should be grateful when we have food to eat. Yes, now you're making sense. what was I saying before that? I was talking about like fruit trees. Yeah, it's not really financially viable to buy orchards of half to fully grown trees, unless you like investing in order to retail that, to start a supply chain of fruit. It's not really financially viable when it comes to self-sustainability. If that's your goal, is independence and self-sustainability, buying orchards of grown trees is not financially viable. Of course I've tried macadamia nuts. I'm sure that I've eaten just about every nut that there is. To clarify, I was vegan once upon a time, Arby, and I stopped being vegan because it wasn't viable, it wasn't conducive, it wasn't sustainable. It cost more, you know. Replacing meat with other forms of protein, it just wasn't practical. And now I'm pretty much vegetarian. I hardly once or twice a week I will eat some meat, a bit of chicken, maybe an egg here or there. But for the most part, I'm just eating vegetables and beans and legumes, and legumes are beans, are they? Exactly. You have to stop it. You have to get enough nourishment into your body. You can't just one day decide to be vegan. You need to understand how to get the same amount of nourishment without eating meat before you do it. It's a very big commitment. And if you haven't got your finances in order, and if you haven't got your homestead in order, and you haven't got your relationships in order, becoming vegan will consume all of your time and energy. It takes away your ability to give any kind of focus to the other aspects of your life. It's not really sustainable. It's like the last thing you do. Once you have your discs in order, and your thoughts in order, and your emotions in order, when every part of your life is in alignment, and that's the only thing left that you would like to change, that's when you tackle it. Until then, you need to focus on other things. There are higher priorities. Lol, I do not eat junk food at all. Ever. It's not sustainable. It's not viable. Hey Joshua 45622, welcome. I would go. Yeah, I think 45622. I definitely remember that tag. You have been here before. This is the same Joshua that I spoke to before, isn't it? You are already a follower on this channel. Welcome back. In that case. So Arby, cutting down on how much junk food you eat, that's a better thing to tackle. Like, cutting down on meat, that's something you can work on in the future. But like, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to be vegan now for health reasons or for dietary reasons, rather say, I'm going to eat less junk food and less takeouts. Do I know Osho? No, I've never met him. Never met Osho. I've heard about him, but I've never met him. You sound very proud of yourself that you drink a liter of Coke every day. You must be earning a lot of money that you can spend it on junk food. Like, I would love to have a pizza or a burger every now and then, but it's not financially accessible. There are other things that are more important, you know, like clothes and education and that sort of thing. And actual food, you know. My point, RB, is that you can make a burger for 50 cents or less. That's my point. My point is that it doesn't matter how little you think you're paying on junk food, you can make the exact same thing for a fraction of the price if you bought the ingredients and made it yourself. So in my country it's around about $5 at an expensive restaurant. At a fancy restaurant you'll spend about $5 on a burger. I could take that $5 and make 6 burgers, 6 gourmet burgers with that $5 if I do it in my own kitchen. No, food is not a dilemma actually. The human condition is a dilemma. Food is very simple. It's sustenance, and you consume it in order to live. It's a very simple process. You make it complex. Consumerism makes it complex. Capitalism makes it complex. Advertising makes it complex. The human condition is what makes it a dilemma. A master once said you can eat trash and still be like a Buddha. A master of what? A master of self-destruction, I'm sure. Maybe that's right, Arby. Maybe you can eat trash and be Buddha. I don't think that Buddha is worth being if that's what it's about. If it's about reaching a point where I can eat as much shit as I like, then what the fuck? What kind of principle is that? Oh, I've heard of Sadhguru. He's no master in my mind. Master of what? He's no master to me. I am my only master. If you have nothing else to eat, Arby, and you're grateful for the trash that's been given to you to eat, then yes, a master would do that. A master would not turn away food from McDonald's just because it's food from McDonald's. If he had the option of a home-cooked meal and McDonald's, he would put aside McDonald's and take the home-cooked meal. If he had nothing and someone presented him with McDonald's, he would take it with gratitude and eat it with gratitude. Are you like 13 years old, Arby? Yeah, because it seems like it. Sadhguru is a master of nothing and no one except himself. And that is the same for everyone. We are masters of no one and nothing except ourselves and our own lives. What is my zodiac sign? I was born under the sign of the Gemini. I'm born in November, so in the northern hemisphere you would say I'm Sagittarius, but in the southern hemisphere at that time of year, on the 26th of November, Gemini is in the sun, not Sagittarius. Good fit as a job. Are you talking about Sadhguru? Having a good fit, good choice of job? Or are you talking about me? Or are you talking about yourself? So I'm a Sagittarius according to tropical astrology. I have no idea what that means. No idea what that means, Arby. Oh, thank you, Lord Lamar. I know very little about astrology, Arby. I only know what I can see in the sky with my own eyes. Me working on the internet. It works good for me, it fits me well. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. There is no Western Hemisphere, Arby, so I see you don't know what you're talking about either. There's only a north and a south. But spiritual guru would work better as a Sag. KK. I see. On that topic, you know, there shouldn't be. So Lord Lamar, it wouldn't matter what you believe in. The fact is that Gemini was in the sun when I was born. That's just a fact. You know? It's not about what you believe, it's about where in the world you are. So yeah, if you were in my hemisphere at the time of your birth, your zodiac sign would also be reversed. If I was on your side of the globe when I was born, yes, then I would be a Sagittarius, and it's not really about what any of us believe. It's just about like orientation. Why are you fighting me? Don't fight. Don't fight with me. Don't fight with me, Lord Lamar. I have no idea what sign you are, Arby. Like I said, I have no idea what astrology is. I live in the Republic of South Africa, indeed. You were born on May the 25th? I have no idea what sign that is, Arby. Is it like the 25th of May today? No, it's 25th of May tomorrow. Yes, of course, Jasmine. You missed your turn by a long shot. But, like, I can throw you back in the queue because there's no one else in the queue right now. You're gonna go and use one of those free horoscope websites, Arby. I got no respect for those free AI-powered horoscope websites. You know, when the whole world is running into the fireplace, when the whole world is taking nosedive off a cliff, I'm gonna go the opposite direction. So you're welcome to follow the majority and run off of the cliff, or you're welcome to take a note from me and go the opposite direction. Yes, everyone's gonna ridicule you the way you're ridiculing and think you're mad. That's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind being mad in the sight of mad people. Mr. Subin, you were the first reading of the day. So go back to the beginning of the stream and you will have tisk tisk, you will have your reading. It's right there. Just go back to the beginning of the stream. Lord Lamar says, I'm very feisty today and she is making me mad. Arby is not a woman, by the way. Arby is an immature little dude. Arby has lads. Arby's got very small dick, and you know needs to measure it against everything to feel better about his ego. Welcome, Miss Cutie Rose. My dude, 1 + 1 = 2. There is no my way or your way. That's exactly what I've been saying to you this whole time, Arby. It's like not about what you believe or what you think is right. It's just about like what actually is the case, and I can see pretty clearly. So you can argue with me or try and convince me otherwise until you go blue in the face. It's not going to change anything. You can measure your dick all day. It's not going to change the size of it. Something is different today. Maybe my hair is loose. How am I? Fabulous, fantastic, doing so well. So, Jasmine. Yeah, the background and the hairdo. Glad to hear it, Arby. You're gonna have to send a picture to prove, because I don't believe you. Alright, so this is for Jasmine. I'm going to give you general reading, Jasmine, because I don't know what your question is, and I don't know if you're still here in the chat. Lord Lamar is after you. You can find the links in my description, Arby. You can find all my links in the description. Okay, Jasmine, I've got a 5 of Swords for you. That's a wild card, it just jumps out, so if I don't hear back from you, I'm going to assume that you are gone. Arby, if you send me a dick pic, you know I'm just going to report you. And, you know, I'm still not going to believe that it's your dick, so you can try as you might to convince me. You're not going to convince me of anything. The 5 of Swords, it talks about reaching for goals and opportunities and doing the best that you can. You know, you're just applying your resources and your experiences to the best of your ability. Not trying to push yourself too hard, taking it slow, taking rest when you need to. It wants to encourage you in that and say it might feel like progress is slow, but just keep on putting one foot in front of the other and doing it at your pace. Don't let others convince you that you need to be moving faster than you're capable of moving, because if you try and apply yourself beyond what you're capable of, you'll end up backsliding, going backwards. So yeah, it just wants to encourage you to keep going the way that you have been going. That is for Jasmine Dorga. Next was Lodamar. So Lodamar, if you're still here, I can read for you now. Gone. Thank you for joining, Lord Lamar, if you're still here. What's a smart reading? It's about smart dealing. You know, being able to make good decisions. Smart dealings in business, smart dealings in relationships. And basically the idea is that you're getting that edge to be smart through the readings, through the divination. But mostly I chose those words because they rhyme. So Lolomar is not here anymore. Moving on, Miss Cutie Rose, you're up next. Darling?
If I'm boiling beans, as I rinse them, as I wait till they boil, then I drain them, then I put more water in, then I put them back on.
Something like that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, if you don't, then it like gets all misty and like gunky. by the way, welcome, Stone Epiphany. It's fantastic to have you here. It's been a while. I'd love to see you back. So Miss Cutie Rose, do you have a question, or should I just read for you generally? How will my next job in summer be? Cool. What advice does wisdom have? Ah, Lord Lamar, sorry about that. I'm busy skipping you, moving on to Miss Cutie Rose, but I'll do you right after Miss Cutie Rose. I did ask for you, yes. I'll do you. Don't worry. I'll be ready for you, baby, and I'll do you right after I'm done doing Miss Cutie Rose. Okay, so oh, look at that. Your advice, Miss Cutie Rose, is authenticity is king. Don't put yourself out of your way for anyone. Don't try and people please. Don't do anything because they are. Don't change who you are or the way you do things for the sake of employers or colleagues or anyone, because it might seem like you have to let go of yourself in order to make progress, but that is like very counterintuitive. A lot of people say, oh, you can never get by if you're not willing to sacrifice of yourself. That's very counterintuitive. You know, like the sun isn't deliberately trying to send energy out. It just does that as a side effect of being what it is, a star. So that's what it wants to say to you is you need to just be authentic like a star and just radiate naturally. You know, don't deliberately try and push energy out. Just by being authentic and true to who you are, you will, the business will thrive. Whatever business you're working for, your spirit will make that business thrive for your sake. I am really unlucky, says Lord Omar. It happens all the time. Literally had a call. You were probably being protected from something, Lord Omar. Or at least that's what I tell myself when the universe cuts off my streams randomly. I'll be like, yeah, I was probably being protected from something. Helps me sleep better at night. Alright, so, what more advice do the spirits of wisdom have for Miss Cutie Rose? Okay, so number 5. So this one it's the Hierophant, and it wants to call to attention that there will be unhealthy examples. There will be bad influences and bad examples within this new workspace. Possibly employer being a bad example or a bad role model. Possibly just colleagues, people who work with you, who are bad examples. You know, if you're working as a waiter, like I was working as a waiter, and there's a lot of drug addiction going on amongst waiters and students. So it's very easy to be influenced by that and be pulled into that. So this card just wants to make you aware of all of the negative examples that you will be surrounded by. So don't look to anyone as an example. Don't go into the workspace expecting to find a role model or an example. You need to be the example that you want. So you know what kind of character you want to strive for, so you need to be that instead of looking for it in someone else or saying, oh, because they behave that way it must be okay. No, you've got to trust your own intuition to tell you what is, you know, healthy character and what is not. Be the example for yourself. Present interval card is the 8 of Wands. Eight of Wands, it talks about shifts in intentions, adjustments in one's intentions. It's an interesting card, especially seeing it in the present, especially considering a question. How can that apply as advice? And it's talking about you in the present. Okay, I feel like, first of all, it's saying to you, understand your own intentions clearly. Like, why do you want this job? Why are you getting this job? It's not saying that your intention is bad or that your intention is good. It's just saying be fully aware of your intention and your reason why. And your goal. Like, this job shouldn't be the end goal. The job is in order to earn money, and the money is in order to purchase something that you desire. So being fully aware of what that desire is and what your intention is, it's important, because now, like before you go into the workspace, you can still make adjustments to what your intention is. You can still clarify to yourself what your desires are. Once you are already working, it's not so easy to adjust those things. Well, you can, it's not too late. But if you don't have a clear idea of what your intentions are, what your desires are, it really impacts your motivation and your ability to work and be present. So it's saying identify those things now, get a clear picture of your desire, clearly understand your intentions now before you're actually there doing the job. Future interval is Prince of Cups. What's the Prince of Cups giving? What advice is the Prince of Cups giving you? Prince of Cups is like making breakthroughs in your emotions, and reverse talks about suffering. So it's kind of saying that you're going to make breakthroughs in the way that you cope with emotions, the way that you express emotions through emotional discomfort, and that's going to come along with this job. There's going to be a lot of emotional distress and discomfort within this work environment. Yes, there will also be like feelings of breakthrough, feelings of success and doing well and being on top of the game. There will also be feelings of demotivation, feelings of depression and misery. But through that, it's like a challenge. It's like, it's like you're facing a challenge. It's like oefening. It's like practicing. Oefening means exercising. It's like exercising your emotional self. Carrying weights. It's like pulling weights, emotional weights, in order to make breakthroughs, in order to overcome. And you will see those breakthroughs. You will see that summit. You will reach the summit. Suddenly you'll look back and you'll feel like you've matured so much in your emotions. Things that used to bother you or bring you down in the past no longer can hold a candle to you because of what you've been through and what you've experienced. It's really given you, it's really evolved you, basically is what it's saying. The job is going to evolve you. There's going to be difficulty, but it's all in the interest of evolving you, maturing you. That's the right word, maturing you. Emotional maturity is going to come through discomfort. So even if it's not exactly the best reference to go on your resume, even if it's not, the job will be good. But no job is going to be perfect. There's going to be plus sides and downsides to every job, whether it's your own business that you're running or if it's employment. there is going to be discomfort and there is going to be excitement. There's always going to be both. Some jobs will leave you feeling permanently miserable, and that's the worst kind of employment. All in all, it's saying that even if you don't end up, even if this isn't a huge income, even if it's like isn't earning you billions, even if it isn't the best reference to go on your resume, it's still going to mature you emotionally. It's still going to grow you as an individual. They say there's no gain without pain, and that's very much true. You can't exercise. If you go and exercise and it doesn't hurt, you don't feel the burn, you're not growing, you're not developing. So it's kind of like that. The work is going to be mental and emotional exercise, and it will strengthen you. And yes, exercise comes with good feels, as well as the pain of enduring through it. So I'm going to draw that spread for you now, Lord Lamar, whether you are in the chat or not. And I don't know if you... You didn't give me clarity as to whether you wanted a general or if you had a question, but you can go ahead and give me a question now. It doesn't matter if I have already shuffled the cards and made the spread. By the time you ask the question, it's actually quite irrelevant. And there, you know, there's the cards, there's wisdom just answering questions for you that you haven't even asked. It's the mages, and the mages is saying that it's time to set things in motion. It wants to commend you, first of all, saying that you have ideas and thoughts and plans, and you set them in motion by communicating them and writing it down, like building your schedule. That's like the first stage. And well done. Okay, so now you ask me about relationship. If I take this Mage's card within the context of relationship, it's saying that whatever you're sowing into this, like whatever you're communicating now, it's sowing seeds. You're setting in motion the relationship. You know, you're sowing the seeds, so it will grow, but it requires that you nourish it. You'll have to water the seeds. You have to give them good soil if you want them to really grow. Business is more important. So the Mage's card doesn't talk specifically about business. The Mage's card is about all aspects of communication, all things that you're manifesting and setting in motion. If we were looking at an ace of discs, that would be specifically to do with business. If we were looking at an ace of swords, we were talking specifically about communicating in this relationship that you're in. But when it's a mages, it's about communication and manifestation, setting in motion your manifestation within all the spheres of your life, within your emotional being, within your physical reality, within your relationships, every aspect of your life. Okay, so past interval card. This is like the cards are pointing out a strength. You know, we all have strengths and weaknesses. The cards are pointing out a strength that is very useful for you. It's a key that you can apply within your relationship with this guy, as well as this project that you're trying to start. And it's the Four of Cups, which is emotional discipline. That's being able to cope with difficult emotions and still act constructively. You know, say you start a relationship with this guy, and then he does something that triggers you, and instead of you doing something spiteful because you've been triggered, you are able to say something constructive. You are able to say something positive regardless of that trigger. That's emotional discipline that I'm seeing here. And also when it comes to your project, you want to start a project. Let's say you have started the project, and then you know, things happen in your life that make you feel really depressed, but you don't allow that depression to take you away from your project or to sabotage your project. In fact, you take those miserable feelings, those difficult feelings, and you channel them. You use your project as like an outlet to express your feelings. It's a way to you let your project become a coping mechanism for your feelings. Emotional discipline, and it's like, it's a key, it's something that you have, it's something you have that you've used to find success in relationships and in projects, financial projects in the past, and it's something you can reapply in the present. It's an advantage that you have. Nine of Wands in reverse in the present. So this card, it's talking about checking your intentions once again. What do you want out of a relationship? Like, if you're going to go into a relationship with this guy you've been talking to, what's the point? What do you want out of it? You know? What's the end goal? What's the desire? And then also, what are your intentions? Are your intentions self-serving? Do you want emotional support? Do you want financial support? Do you want sexual gratification? Is it about your wants? Is it all about you? Or is it about what you can offer? Do you feel love for this person? Do you want to uplift them and support them? You know, check your intentions. It doesn't really matter if your intentions are positive, if your intentions are self-serving or selfless. You just need to be honest with yourself about it. You can't go into a relationship having self-serving intentions and then lying to yourself saying you've got selfless intentions. That's not going to work. You can't go into a relationship having selfless intentions, lying to yourself saying these are very selfish intentions. You just got to be honest with yourself about it and honest with the other person about it. Yeah, so this card is about being aware of your intentions and your desires from the relationship, from this project that you're starting, and just being honest with yourself about it, really acknowledging those intentions and those desires clearly. Future interval is number 4. He's the Emperor. So this card, it kind of says to me that this guy is a healthy guy. He is a good masculine influence to have in your life. The feminine has many strengths, the masculine has many strengths, and they complement one another, and he is a good example of masculinity. He's a good example of the healthy side of masculinity. That's the first thing this card is saying. Second thing this card is saying is that you have the discipline and the strength, the flexibility, the discipline and the strength that it takes in order to, you know, make this business project succeed. So you should go ahead with that. And yeah, so this card is kind of saying to me that yes, business is more important, but he is not the kind of guy who's going to impede your business project. He's the kind of guy who's going to support that project, who's going to encourage you and hold you accountable and call out your bullshit if you start procrastinating your project. So if you're talking to him about it, if you say to him, this is what I'm doing in my life, and then you don't follow through, he's going to call you out on it. He's that kind of guy who will, you know, he's not going to let you give up on yourself without a fight. Whether it's a romantic relationship or a platonic relationship, irrelevant. And that is your reading. So I've been online for like 2 hours. It's probably 3 o'clock now. That's right. You're most welcome, and thank you, Norma. Thank you.
I am about ready, sweetheart.
Fantastic. So then I'm gonna go offline. Thank you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you tomorrow in like an art stream, and that would be loads of fun. I'm gonna see about dropping you off with April Reed, because she's starting up just like me. Maybe you've been doing it a little bit longer. Art streamer, not a tarot streamer, just by the way. Hey, look at that, Buttery Smooth has got 7 viewers, which means he must have just gone live, because he typically has like 40 viewers at a time. He's a big guy. Big guy. Where did all of my... There we go. Much love and support. Much love for your support. Where's my brain? My brain is like misty and foggy. X. I love robots. Welcome and cheerio. Thank you for joining us. But you caught me at the edge of the stream, at the end of the stream. I'm dropping you off with someone else, Art Stream. Stick around, cheer for her, follow her, or don't. Bye!